From the street, all this happening in Ghana, Sunyani City, it looked like any other beauty spa. Ladies laughing, hair dryers buzzing, music playing. The smell of perfume and fresh shampoo filled the air, and everything seemed normal. But behind those glossy walls, welcoming smiles and the polished reception, something darker was happening. Lives were controlled, choices were stolen, and babies were being produced for a price. No one knew how far the building stretched or what secrets hid in the back, and once you stepped inside, there was no going back. Welcome to the place they call the baby factory. The building looked normal at a first glance, but the building had three faces. The front of the building was a spa and salon. Polished floors, clean glass doors, mirrors lining the walls, and makeup palettes open on the counters. Women came for nails, hair, makeup, and massages. Some came every week, some once a month. Laughter and conversations bounced off the walls. People walked past, hurried along, barely glancing at the building. Nothing seemed unusual, almost perfect. The side of the building was a hotel and a bar. Doors opened, guests checked in and out. Men in expensive outfits carrying bundles of cash sat enjoying themselves. Staff carrying trays of drinks and music played softly in the background. From the outside, it seemed lively and harmless, just like any other hotel. The back. No one ever saw the back of the building. It had high walls with barbed wires, locked gates and security guards, blurry windows and doors no one else was meant to open. Behind the doors, girls of different ages lived there. Some were pregnant, some were just recovering from childbirth, and some girls were still new. Everything there was calculated. The girls were always monitored. They weren't allowed to own a phone there. Meals were scheduled. Pregnancies were planned and tracked. Babies were born, collected, and sold. Pregnant girls were moved from room to room, and the new girls learned fast. Security checks were always constant. CCTV cameras were everywhere watching, and no one outside suspected a thing. Only by doing what you were told kept you alive. And at that, nothing was setting. Once you stepped inside, there was no green back. And running all of it was Mrs. Manu Felicia. The spa made her money. The hotel made her money, but the baby factory, that was the most profitable part of all. Though hidden behind walls and locked gates, it made her the most money. Mrs. Manu Felicia herself rarely entered the back. She didn't need to. Others were passed down through the supervisors. Obedience there was not optional. Many of the girls there had been tricked. They were promised job opportunities at the spa or salon. Some thought they would learn hair, nails, massage, maybe make a little money and build a life. But the truth hit hard when they were led to the back of the building. There they were told they had to produce babies, and for each baby they would be paid a sum of a 100,000 Ghanaian cedis. Some girls cried, some begged, some refused. Not all the girls there were deceived. Some came in willingly. They were found on the streets pregnant with nowhere to stay. The madame promised them shelter, money, and food, just enough to keep them working, and most of them agreed because what choice did they have? Outside they were alone, inside they were trapped but fed. You might wonder, who were the fathers of all those babies? That was part of the plan too. The girls were sent to the hotel and bar side of the building. There they entertained men, poured drinks, danced, and some were asked to sleep with them. The pregnancies were not accidents. They were carefully planned. Babies were born in the factory and each one had a buyer waiting somewhere. The buyers came secretly. Some were rich men in suits. Some were eight foreigners. Some were people nobody wanted to be seen with, like ritualists or cultists, people with dark plans in general. They paid prayed heavily for each baby. Girls whispered about it, cried in corners, held newborns for as long as they could. But in the end, the money exchanged hands and the babies were gone. And the cycle continued. And at the center of it all was calm and perfect Mrs. Manu Felicia, watching, calculating, and untouchable. Tilda had been one of the oldest girls in the factory. She had been here 6 long years. 4 children had come and gone, and now she was pregnant with her fifth baby. She was always quiet, always sad. Every time she thought about how she got here, tears threatened to fall. Mrs. Manu Felicia had promised her a big job in the city, a real chance at a life, but instead Tilda ended up trapped here with no way out. Even the midwives weren't free, they lived there too. Paid to care for the pregnant girls and babies, but only allowed to leave once in a while for holidays. Everyone inside the walls was part of the same world, controlled, watched, and trapped. When Tilda finally delivered her fifth baby, she refused to let it go. She begged, cried, pleaded to keep her baby in her arms. But the madame didn't care. The baby was collected from her by force. That was when something inside Tilda broke. She cried, screamed, threw herself on the floor filled with anger and frustration. She vowed openly that if she ever got a chance, she would report the baby factory to the authorities and she would bring the whole place down. Late that same night, Tilda's tantrums grew louder. She refused to calm down. The security guards came in quietly and dragged her away. Nobody saw her or heard about her again. Her disappearance sent a shiver through every girl, every staff member. Fear tightened around them like a noose. About a month later, rumors spread through the rooms. The government was coming. People would come to raid the place. The girls dared to hope. Maybe this time help had finally come, but it didn't. Mrs. Manu Felicia had stuffed their mouths with money, bribes, gifts, promises. They were all paid to keep quiet. No one spoke, no one acted, and the girls understood once again that the world outside these walls couldn't reach them. I arrived on a Monday morning, bright-eyed and full of hope. She had traveled far from her village, carrying dreams of work, money, and a better life she was promised. The front of the building welcomed her like a dream come true. For a moment she felt her heart lift. This was the life she had imagined. "Good morning, miss. Welcome to the spa," a receptionist said, handing her a form to fill. Nana Amma smiled. "Thank you. I'm really excited to start working here." For the first week, she worked like any other trainee at the salon. She learned to style hair, apply makeup, and run the counters. She made small talk with the girls, laughed at jokes, and imagined herself earning, saving, and sending money back home to her parents. One day, a young lady appeared at the salon doorway. Madame Manu Felicia wants to see you," she said quietly. I's stomach tightened. She nodded, trying to keep calm. She followed the lady through the spa, past the mirrors and buzzing hair dryers, down a narrow corridor she had never noticed before. At the far end of the big compound stood a big black gate. It was tall, silent, and closed like it led somewhere forbidden. The gate was opened without a sound, and I stepped into a quiet compound. The air there was different, heavier, colder, and almost still. No music, no laughter, just the faint smell of disinfectant mixed with something she couldn't name. Was led inside another door and up a short flight of stairs to a small reception at the back of the building. The room was polished, neat, and eerily calm. Behind a large desk sat Mrs. Manu Felicia. "Welcome, Nana Amma," Mrs. Manu Felicia said, her voice soft, even, and controlled. "I've been expecting you." I forced a small smile. "Thank you, madam. I'm ready to work hard and do my best, Nana Amma." Mrs. Manu Felicia tilted her head slightly, studying her. "I need to tell you the truth. Your work here will not be in the salon." I blinked, confusion tightening her chest. I don't understand, Nana Amma. You will be living here in the back building. You will follow the rules. You will bear children for our clients. You will be paid and you will not leave unless I say so. I stomach turned. No, I didn't come here for that, Nana Amma. I came to work in the salon. Mrs. Manu Felicia's smile was polite, unshakable. That's not why you were brought here. That was only what you were told. You have only 3 days. Think carefully. I walk or you don't leave at all. I's mind raced. She looked around the polished room, the quiet compound outside the window, and realized the walls weren't just walls. They were a trap. After her meeting with Mrs. Manu Felicia, I was not sent back to the salon. Instead, another young woman guided her through the polished halls, down a narrow corridor, and into a room she had never seen before. Inside, the room was small but neat. 5 girls sat quietly on narrow beds. 3 of them were pregnant, their bellies heavy and round. 2 others had just delivered, their faces pale, exhaustion written in every line. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and baby powder. I was told many things here, the rules, the routines, what would be expected of her, and the truth about the baby factory. She listened, her stomach twisting with fear and disbelief. Every word made her chest tighten. She wanted to scream and run away, but the walls were high and the gates locked. That night, Nana Amma lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. She vowed silently that she would never walk here. She refused to believe this could be her life. The next 3 days were unbearable. She cried alone in the room, refused meals, and barely spoke to anyone. The other girls avoided her, whispering quietly, afraid to draw the madame's attention. Finally, on the 3rd day, Mrs. Manu Felicia summoned her again, walked into the polished office, her legs shaky. I'm not going to work here, she said, voice trembling. I want to go home. Mrs. Manu Felicia laughed softly, a sound that made the room colder. Go home, she said. After entering here, nobody comes in and leaves. She leaned forward, her eyes sharp. It's very simple. You walk or you die. I felt the walls close in. When they sent her back to the room, her legs were weak. Her stomach twisted. She sat on the floor and cried until her chest hurt. That was when Nurse Akosua, one of the midwives, noticed her. She stood at the doorway for a moment watching. Then she walked in and sat beside her. She didn't rush. She didn't shout. She just waited until the crying slowed. I said softly, crying won't save you here. I wiped her face. I want to go home. I'm not even interested in the salon walk again. I just want to go home, she whispered. Nurse Akosua sighed. Everybody who came here wanted to go home. Some attempted to, but they didn't survive it. She paused, then added, if you want to leave here, you must plan. You have only 2 weeks. After that, Madame will decide your fate, and that would be the end of you. The first thing Akosua told her was simple. If you want to leave, she said, you must first agree to stay here. The next morning, I asked to see Mrs. Manu. She didn't beg, she didn't cry. She bowed her head and said quietly, Madame, I've thought about it. I'm ready to walk. Mrs. Manu studied her for a long moment. Then she smiled. Good, she said. You'll be moved. That decision changed everything. I was taken out of the room with the 5 girls and moved to another section. This was where girls who had accepted the work and girls preparing to be sent to the hotel and bar side stayed. They were watched closely, cameras everywhere, guards always nearby. For days I played her role well. She followed rules, she spoke when spoken to, she listened, she learned that on setting lights, selected girls were taken through a monitored corridor that connected the back compound to the hotel side. They were dressed up, checked, counted, and watched. No one ran, no one resisted. Anyone who didn't come back alive. On the ninth day, Akosua handed her a general staff uniform, the same one worn by workers in the spa hotel, and one OM moves everywhere. Nos Agnes whispered. People don't look twice at his staff. The plan was clear now to the chosen knight. I was taken with the others toward the hotel side. Cameras followed them, guards counted them. Everything was normal. Once inside the hotel, noise swallowed them, music, laughter, men drinking, smoke in the air. At the right moment, I asked quietly to use the toilet. One guard waved her off. He was already distracted by the girls dancing. Inside the toilet, her hands shook as she changed into the staff uniform. She tied her hair differently and changed her appearance. When she stepped out, she wasn't a girl anymore. She was now a staff. She picked up a tray of empty glasses from a corner. Her heart was beating fast, but her steps were steady. She walked through the back of the bar into the service area just like she had seen walkers do. No one stopped her. Then she went to the car park and hid. Outside the car park was dim. Men were leaving in ones and twos, some drunk, some loud, some barely standing. She stayed close to the shadows, avoiding people and lights. Then she saw a man stumble to his car and unlocked it. The man then opened the boot to drop something inside. Then he received a call and stepped aside to answer it. Nana Ama didn't think twice. She moved fast. She slipped into the trunk and lay flat, pulling the emergency handle down so it wouldn't glow. Footsteps returned. The man slammed the boot shut, still arguing into his phone. Then the engine started and the car pulled away. Minutes felt like hours. When the car finally stopped, she tried to open the trunk. It didn't open. Panic rose in her chest. She banged once, then again, then the trunk flew open. The man stared at her, shocked and confused. Before he could speak, I ran away. She ran until her chest burned, until her legs shook, until the noise faded. When she finally stopped, she looked around. She didn't know where she was. No money, no phone, no anything. But she was free. But now she was alone. And Mrs. Manu would soon realize that someone was missing. And I knew one thing clearly now. Escaping was only the beginning. She would survive, she would fight, and she would bring the truth to light no matter the cost. Watch out for part 2 of The Baby Factory, Idam's journey to expose the truth. If you want to see how she faces danger, saves the girls, and challenges the Baby Facto's empire, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The story isn't over, it's just getting started. African Tales by Tilda Official.